we move on to our next speaker for today's session, we have Dr. Sameek Bhattacharya. He is Professor and Head, Department of Plastic Surgery from ABVIMS and Dr. RML Hospital, New Delhi. Dr. Bhattacharya holds a postgraduate degree in general surgery, followed by another postgraduate qualification in plastic surgery. He is also a fellow of International College of Surgeons and a member of National Academy of Medical Sciences. A thorough academician and clinical expert, he has authored numerous book chapters with publications in various peer-reviewed journals and over 16 years of teaching experience. And all of this does not end here. There is a very interesting part of his achievements, which I must mention here. He was deputed as a representative of Government of India to Kenya to assist the Kenyan government in dealing with a major fire disaster in the city of Molo. And within 15 days, he was able to successfully treat as many as 50 burn victims. A very warm welcome, sir, from Kaho on our platform today. Thank you for joining us here. And we look forward to hearing you talk on accreditation standards on quality and patient safety. I hand over the floor to you, Dr. Bhattacharya.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ganguly. That was very kind introduction of me. Very thankful to Kaho for giving me this opportunity. I'm a clinician to the core, so I don't think I will be matching the engineering marvels the previous speakers talked about. But one aspect of public health hospitals or the central government hospital, I must tell you, is that we do not have a biomedical engineering department per se. So many of the issues are handled by people like us. So in my hospital, I am supposed to look after CPWD and IT and the procurement as well. So I have a reasonably wide perspective about the hospital functions, although I do not have the domain knowledge. So with that background of mine, I will take you down to a presentation on hospital safety per se from a clinician's point of view, with little bit of premise from the management side. Hospital safety is both human beings, the place, and the property, and it's a more of a white canvas that we should talk about, and with the basic premise of do no harm, which governs most of our activities in a healthcare organization. So there are many aspects of the era which we talk about, and obviously involves both the human beings and the machines. And the working environment is not very conducive for safety in terms of time frame as well as the environment. So hospital is a recipe for a disaster happening anytime. It's a mass gathering, 24 hours working, unrestrained access to many people. Atmosphere is emotionally charged. The staff under constant strain, and obviously they might get irritated, become confrontationist. Conflicts do happen, threatening both life and hospital property. And there are people who are obviously vulnerable. There are other difficult situations like VIP movement or targets of insurgency. So hospital has a lot of issues regarding safety. And in this context, obviously we talk about it houses equipments which can be hazardous to people, houses chemicals, radiation, and biowastes. And staff, visitors, patients, habitants of surrounding area are exposed to these risks. So when you talk about hospital safety, is the infrastructure, fire safety, electrical and mechanical safety, and radiation safety. And there are statutory bylaws and norms to be followed, and regular returns or regular reports to be filed to the statutory bodies. So, and safety has its own economic implications. If we can keep things safely, we obviously save money. So patient safety, it's a prevention of harm to a patient by healthcare process. It can be a human being or a process or a equipment or any other external harm. Modalities to prevent harm to patients by healthcare process is basically based on the premise, again, please do no harm. And there are possibilities of errors and system failures in our system. And lack of prompt action to adverse events, poor detection system, under-reporting, and understanding the cause of the problem is seen because we do not have a culture of detecting or foreseeing and then reporting or thinking about a root cause analysis kind of mindset in the system, which obviously is the lack of SOP regarding safety. And there is a system of blame game do happen. There is a system that put it under the carpet, not to report. It does exist in the system. So first, before solving the problem, we must accept that there is a problem like this. So adverse events in 1 in 10 admitted patients. These are some Western data. We don't have any data from the Indian side, but things are very, very alarming when he say it kills about 98,000 patients a year. But one thing is there, if we see the source of the errors, equipment come at the bottom. It is 66% caused entirely by patients, 16% by hospital staff, 14% both by hospital staff and patients, and 4% by equipment failure. In most cases, fault is not willful. This needs to be understood because that basic idea should be there with the management as well, that nobody is doing any harm with willful intent. There can be systemic flaw, there can be inadequate communication, process variation, patient ignorance, but nobody is coming to the hospital, no staff is coming to the hospital with the intent that I'm going to harm this particular person. So adverse health events do happen because of act of omissions. Errors do happen because failure to complete or deviate from a planned procedure or a incorrect procedure. There can be near misses, adverse reactions, medication error, sentinel errors, but none of it is basically intended harm. So basically, we need to focus on the near misses. That's kind of a what do you call it? If we do this, then we can do a lot within a comfort zone. Why I call it comfort zone? Because nothing has happened yet. And you have a reasonable amount of insight of the problem that can happen. And this future projection can prevent further problems. So human beings will make errors, and every error has a root cause and a solution. And it is important to see that unwillful or unintended error is a miss, but repeated errors can be a crime. This is exactly where an administrator come into play, that how he sees happenings in light of harm to patients. If there is a repeated thing, then the punitive action might be thought about. Errors can be prevented by initiative of every individuals in the system. So WHO has a very strong view on patient safety, has numerous documents and programs regarding patient safety, and talks very pertinently about patients should receive safe healthcare every time, everywhere, and each time, and that's what is quality all about. So as we know that there should be clean care and safe care, safe surgery, and these aspects of patient hospital safety must be bundled in the basic management system of the hospital. The high fives of WHO, you obviously know. So I just, this has a little bit of clinical sides because I come from the clinical side. So there is, if we have to take something from medical safety, then the aviation industry is the ideal thing to take. There are human factors, engineering, there is fatigue and stress management, effective communication, shared awareness and teamwork. And there is briefing, debriefing, workload distribution, cross monitoring, grade assertiveness, and checklist. These systems are already there in the aviation system, and many of the safety protocols in health system has taken the pages from there. So statutory reporting procedures, voluntary reporting culture, recurring statutory examinations, systemic system development, safety analysis of data, acceptance that staff make mistakes, and role of teamwork. These are all the lines taken from the airline industry to improve health conscious, safety consciousness among healthcare professionals. So when you talk about safety, environmental safety is a major part. And this obviously includes the medical and the surgical part, the equipment installation safety, electrical safety, laboratory safety, blood safety, sanitation, infection control, and BMW. So obviously we're talking about the installation and the equipment part and the environmental safety here. So there is a direct link between the work environment and the patient safety. The work environment, as I showed you in the congested OT with a lot of work pressure, obviously will have disaster for patient harm. And creating healthy work environment requires changing long-standing culture and tradition and hierarchies. It is a team, more of a teamwork which is required in case of patient safety and equipment as well. In my hospital, if I still remember that there used to be a lot of tripping on wires which are going from the cautery machines and the different equipment which are connected to the patients. So at one time, one of the nurses said, "Why don't you put a Macintosh over all those wires when you put those wires there?" And after that, many of those wires were causes of falls for people, and the wires used to get disconnected and got damaged. So such culture of thinking and thinking regarding equipment safety and patient staff safety and patient safety has to be there. So some of the indicators that you see regarding safety is the incidence of patient fall, the incidence of near misses, incidence of needle stick injury. These are indicators which shows that how well we are doing in terms of patient safety in the hospital. So when you see about environmental safety, there has to be adequate light, adequate ventilation, stairs with handrails, windows and doors closers so that they don't bang, nobody can bang it forcibly, slip preventing floors, fire extinguishing and fire alarms, prevent noise pollution, heavy and fixed beds, safe wheelchairs and trolleys with straps, no waterlogging in bathrooms. If there is one, then there should be a signage, call bell system for patients, and adequate number of bed screens to maintain privacy of patients. Such measures can go a long way in improving the safety part of the working environment.
Dr. Bhattacharya,
yeah,
this is very interesting. I just have to give you a gentle reminder regarding the time. So if you could wrap up in the next 2 minutes.
Yeah, I'll do that. So these are the medical parts. So I'll just skip those, the surgical and the medical part. So when we talk about the installation hazard, the regular checking of equipments, proper earthing has to be seen, regular maintenance and preventive maintenance rounds, training of nurses and technical staff. Whenever a new equipment comes, the company person should come and train the relevant nurse and the technical staff, and how to control the hazards. If there is a problem with the equipment, there has to be a fact sheet regarding the equipment, which the area should have. And there should be an acceptance that that there can be problems, safety inspection and compatibility and regarding the power requirement and any other air conditioning requirement should be looked into, educating the staff regarding the procedure and appropriate specification which is there. And the previous speaker also talked about the purchasing document. The specification should be framed very well so that later on we do not face compatibility issue in the area of installation. And obviously the certification of the equipments. There is a system in we have developed that the whole equipment life cycle should be maintained in a software which is embedded in our HMIS, which is called the hospital equipment management system. It starts from demand generation, framing of specification to the procurement and goes to the store and then get installed. And this is the software requirement specification in the site. and there's a dashboard of that this thing. So it gives alarms to the concerned person in an SMS that there is a preventive maintenance which is scheduled, there is a renewal of AMC which is scheduled. So this way you can have, and you can, every equipment has a UHID, so you know which equipment is in which stage of life cycle.
Here, Dr. Sameek, you can just give us a cue, just a highlight on the material vigilance program if you are touching upon in your presentation. That would be very interesting from the accreditation point of view also for the reporting from the Indian perspective. You can just give us a 1 minute highlight on that.
See, we don't have such a program in their place, but the reporting which the software gives is quite comprehensive, which tells you about in which equipment is in which stage, and if there is any problem with the equipment, you can get reports in that software. That's the only thing that we have.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Sudeshna. Sorry.
No, that's perfectly fine. It was a very interesting question. I just have another question for you, Dr. Bhattacharya, which has come up in the Q&A. So one of our participants says, what is contributing, and I think he has taken it directly from one of your slides, what is contributing to the 66% errors caused by the patients, as mentioned in the slide?
See, this harm to the patient is both is all about all types of harms, like faulty medication, faulty communication. So a major part of that 66% comes from medication errors, because in many times there is lack of communication between the patient and the clinician.